Game Breaker TV.
You are watching the first and longest running new media broadcast for Star Wars The Old Republic. Welcome to Game Breakers The Republic. You will never need to listen to any other Old Republic podcast ever again. Oh, who were they kidding? They're just a bunch of nerds geeking out about the Old Republic on the internet. But here's your host. He's not the droid you're looking for.
We seem to be made to suffer. It's our lot in life.
I've protocol droids mind white.
Made to suffer. It's our lot in life.
I think I'm
If droids could think that there'd be none of us. If droids could think there'd be none of us. If droids could think that there'd be none of us. If droids could think that there'd be none of us. If droids, well, if droids could think there'd be none of us here, would there?
It's Larry Everett.
Hey everybody, this is Larry Everett, and you're watching The Republic, the 196th episode. We are the Star Wars The Old Republic show here on Game Breaker, and I'm just hitting my mic. That's really good. I'm sure that sounded wonderful to everybody there watching. Anyway, I'm Larry Everett, and you're watching The Republic, and today we are talking about sploits, exploits, and also PAX South, and actually, we'll mention this in there even though it's not quite in the notes. We do know some of the stuff that's coming out in 3.1 because it just hit the PTS hours ago. So, but first, before we get into all that, let me introduce my hosts with the most. We have, from the Utini cast, we have Redna. How are you doing today?
Doing well. How about yourself?
It's an exciting day today. I'm excited about this topic because this is crazy. I like this. So, then also let me introduce from Pretty Little Sith and Corellian Run Radio, Heather. How are you?
I am very good. I'm gonna have to be clearing my throat a lot here, so sorry about that.
Apologize. All right, apology accepted. We'll take that. And gosh, what do I start with 3.1 because we do have a big thing to talk about in the middle here. But let me let me just say a couple of things, and I think we'll get into more depth with them. Let me turn this down a little bit. We'll get into depth with them probably next week or so. But 3.1 hit the PTS just a couple of hours ago, in fact. And Dolphy, if you go to dolphy.net, they have a few things that tell you what's in there. They've already, extracted a whole bunch of stuff, and I know that SWTOR Miner has also talked about some 3.1 stuff as well. And one of the things that there's two things that I noticed right off the bat, and maybe Heather and Red could point out some others that I missed because I really didn't get a chance to look at it heavily. But we noticed there are going to be artifice crafted lightsaber crystals that are going to be 3 colors, not just 2 that we currently have. And there's also going to be an instant speeder that you can buy for 2 million credits. You can instantly get on your speeder. You don't have to wait for that to warm up.
Character perk.
Yeah, character perk.
It's actually, I think it is actually worded while mobile, so it's not even like you have to stop an instant cast. You can actually be on the run and jump on your speeder.
Yeah, exactly. That's my understanding. That it's while you're mobile, you can just hit the as soon as you hit your mount, you're on it and flying away. So what do we think of that? You said ooh whenever I mentioned the 3 color color crystal there, Heather. What do you think? 3-color crystals, cool thing.
Yeah, very cool. You know, it's cool. I'd like to see the colors.
That's true. That's true too. But I mean, how's it? What I'm really curious about, and this is coming from, some of you guys know this, is that I actually went to school for graphic art. That's why, before I went into games journalism and whatnot. So I'm just interested in how they're dividing up those colors and how they're going to differentiate. I mean, I know Dolphy had a picture of them, but one of them was like yellow and white.
It's going to be custom, like you pick the colors and then you make it yourself, or are they set?
I'm assuming that it's going to be. I'm assuming that it's going to be just a set preset colors, kind of like anything that Artifice do now is kind of preset colors. But it's just
the two she has as examples are white, yellow, orange, and white, purple, blue. So
white, yellow, orange is the
and
orange.
White, purple, blue.
Yeah, white, purple, blue. There we go. The colors white, yellow, orange, and white, purple, blue. Right, those are the ones that we know so far. So I don't know.
It seems like this is the direction they've got to go because they've nearly exhausted all of the 2 colors.
That's
they
true.
Want to give out, so they've got to add a 3rd to keep selling them on the cartel market. I'm actually really, really, really glad that they went with crafting first. That's the one thing I've got to say. They gave something to crafting that's new.
Well, one of the things that I'm really interested to know now is, are we going to see something beyond plus 41 with these new crystals?
I don't think so, because then they have to upgrade all of them because I mean, what if you wanted like a white color crystal or something, and that came out on the cartel market a long time ago, and so that's a Hawkeye crystal if you want power. Would they have to name it something else with more stats, like Uber Hawkeye crystal, and then they'd have to go back and like change all those? And typically SWTOR doesn't go back and change anything. They just take new stuff, and from here on forward it'll be like that. So I feel like they're just going to keep it the same just for
simplicity.
Not simplicity.
Yeah, I'm kind of thinking the same thing. I mean, honestly, I would like to see. Honestly, what I'd like to be able to see. This is just, and I'm shooting in the wind, really, to be honest. I don't think this will ever happen. But what I'd like to be able to see is something to the effect of, okay, we're getting these new crystals out now. They're going to be, let's say plus 61 instead of plus 41. And what we can do then is the ones that are plus 41, we can then you can take them to an Artifice or whatever, and then they can be upgraded based on for whatever reason, add more materials to them, and then they can be upgraded to plus 61s.
Okay, so not to drop a deuce on your parade here,
I know.
BioWare has been very explicit, repetitive concerning the fact that they wanted to remove stats entirely from crystals, and I think they realized that, especially having put things for real money on the cartel market that had various stats attached to crystal, they couldn't remove what exists. It will never change.
Yeah,
and there's simply a very good reason for it. They should. I mean, it would be nice if they just stripped it out so that you could cosmetically make it look however you like. But they don't. Yeah, I mean, just imagine that BioWare doesn't want any stats on it, and then be really, really happy that you've got what you've got, and you can still actually slightly streamline your gear based off of the stats.
I would actually, I would prefer them to remove stats entirely from the crystal. Just even the existing ones. Get rid of them. I'd be perfectly fine with that. I mean, even if they don't say redistribute the stat into something else, into the hilt or whatever, I'd be fine. Just get rid of that plus 41, whatever it happens to be. Make it completely cosmetic. I'm perfectly fine with that. What do we think about this mount thing? Is there any? I know that in certain games, and they're not coming out. I'm not thinking of what they are off the top of my head. I remember like SWG was it was kind of a big thing. People using mounts to exploit situations. Can you foresee any reason that it is going to be a necessity to buy this instant mount perk character perk, or is it
So
just
remember,
going
it's 400 cartel coins.
400 cartel
most
coins,
people are
2 million credits? By the way, 2 million credits, 400 cartel coins.
And I don't
So
know
far,
what the legacy.
what it is on the
restriction on it
PTS though.
Right.
I've seen a lot of people complaining about the price, which whatever. But
Is 2 million credits too much, too little? I mean, what are they?
It's too much. It is, admittedly. I think it's too much
trivial.
for one character.
These are the same people that were moaning and groaning that they actually had to pay up to upgrade their abilities when the expansion launched. Like, oh my gosh, you didn't have to pay for every ability the entire time already.
I mean, I only have one character that I care about anyway, so I don't really care, but I'm just going to use the cartel coins. Like, if you think about, the time factor of earning 2 million credits versus spending $4, basically. Yeah. I mean, really, you're going to spend all that time
Well,
doing
especially as a sub,
$2
you're
million?
getting... If as a sub, you're getting 500 to 700 cartel coins a month.
Yeah.
People are going to use their cartel coins on it.
So, I mean, whatever. I'll use 400 cartel coins so I can speed level and run and mount while I'm running. I will.
Yeah, I'm just trying. Personally, I'm thinking, there's with something that used to not be instacast or that isn't instacast for everybody. I tend to think, and maybe I'm just, I probably am. I'm probably overthinking this, but I tend to think that if some people have instant cast for something and other people don't, that there's some way to exploit that in some fashion. I mean, maybe I guess you still won't be able to mount if you're in combat, but maybe you can jump out of combat and then jump on your mount really quickly. I don't know. I'm just trying to...
Oh yeah, open world PvP, there's going to be certain ramifications. We'll see. I imagine there's a lot of unintended ramifications that'll show up, particularly since BioWare doesn't do...
Like open world
PvP,
PvP? Like if I stealth out in the middle of a duel or, whatever?
Stealth, hide in the corner, instant cast on a mount, run away.
Yeah.
Or, anytime you're chasing somebody down, so you're button mashing your mount button for as soon as you drop combat to instantly mount back up and chase the guy down faster.
Or when you see a mission objective that's lit up and there's someone running towards the same thing.
Oh yeah, you can compete against your own faction. I hadn't even thought about that.
There you go. That's going to be the thing that's going to. Oh my gosh. People are.
Oh my God!
The
SWTOR
gold climbers.
Now.
Gold farmers. It's a must buy.
People are faster than others.
I can hear the whining now because somebody got on their mount instantly and outran somebody to a node. That's going to be hilarious. I can just see the forums. Get ready, community team. Get ready.
It's nice. Yeah. I'll probably spend 400 cartel coins on it just because I have cartel coins.
Yeah, I'll probably at least on one of my characters I'll use it. I have one character that I constantly do everything with, and so I'll probably end up doing it with that character.
So tie this together with the fact that they're now introducing a weekly that gives you an entire set of 192 gear for your companion, and every time you mount, your companion gets healed to full. It makes the open world ramifications compounded and much more intriguing. And yeah, I'm very curious to see what people discover once it goes live. Since they don't test for it, there's going to be a lot of stuff unintended that's going to go live with these changes, and I'm actually really excited by it. To be frank, I don't think this is a bad thing. I think it's a good thing. It's an interesting thing. It probably will be necessary to get it. It looks like the legacy level is single digit. They also put a level cap or gate on it. You have to be level 50 to get it, and it looks like you have to be level 50 to get it, even if you're buying it off of the cartel market.
Oh, so you'll level like for whole 50 levels, not being able to mount through Hoth and Tatooine, and then you get it at level 50?
Not instantly.
Oh man, that just bums me out just a little bit. Because that's the big. That's well. I mean, I guess you wouldn't necessarily unless you. On that character, I don't know if you guys level like I do, but I'll give my characters a stipend amount of money, and then I just let them go. I level up without sending them any more money, and so yeah, I guess most people at lower levels won't have that kind of money anyway, unless they cartel market it, like probably everybody's going to do anyway.
frankly, I'd be much more interested in this if it was account-wide. The fact that it's per character does make me less interested. But it's still fun. Any character that I actually spend any regular time on will have it.
Yep. All right, so let's move on to. We'll talk more about that probably once we've been on PTS and actually been able to test that kind of thing and see what else is available for 3.1. Because frankly, we don't know a whole lot as far as what's coming up in 3.1, but I'm sure we will next week. So, but at any rate, biggest thing that probably hit Star Wars: The Old Republic over the holiday week or weekend or whatever, the last couple of weeks when we didn't have a show, and is that there is an exploit that is going on right now. We're not going to, and just to be clear, we are not going to get into the details of said exploit. So we're not going to tell you how to do it. Sorry, if you want to know that, you got to go do another show. I don't know what show that is because I don't think anybody's talking about it, to be honest. But yeah, so anyway, first off, we're not going to explain what it is, and we don't want to know how to do it. Secondly, I don't want to know who is doing it either. I'm not really interested in that in those ramifications. I'm more interested in the community team's reaction and the community's reaction to the exploit itself, and also to what Eric Musco said a couple days ago on the forum. And I'll go ahead and read this as soon as I clear my throat a little bit. He said, normally when an exploit exists, our policy is to remain quiet until the issue is fixed. The reason behind that policy is that if we talk about or acknowledge an exploit, it can create a situation where we draw more attention to it. This can include people who didn't previously know about it and can unintentionally make the issue more widespread. Okay, so first off, the thing I want to talk about is the actual policy itself. This isn't the only MMO to ever have this kind of policy. So I don't want to give the impression that BioWare is doing anything different than other MMOs have done. But I do want to talk about this policy saying not talking about exploits. Musco says that they don't want to talk about exploits because they don't want it to become more widespread. Is this a good policy? Let me go ahead and throw this to Heather. Do we think this is a good policy to stand by? Is there any way to improve that, or what do you think of that in general?
Well, what I said on my blog is that at first I thought it was okay. For a second, I was like, well, I don't want to tell people about it. I don't want to encourage other people to cheat.
Yeah.
But then I thought about it, and I thought, well, if they immediately said right away that, hey, we know there's an exploit. If you do it, then you're going to be in trouble. If they immediately said that, then I don't think people would, go out and seek it. They would just be like, okay, there's an exploit, and they're probably already watching it, so I better not go do it.
That is definitely a good stance. Do you, Red? Do you differ in that opinion, or is that pretty much where you stand?
Well, since I read her blog post, and she makes a really inflammatory remark that I'll let people go discover themselves that I absolutely loved.
Did I really?
Oh, it was great. About dogs.
Oh God! No, I know it was perfect though.
No, it's great. So anyway, I wanted to make my own inflammatory remark, which is that there was another group of people that tried to suppress and censor the information that was being given out to its own populace in any way that it could over the means of communication that it had control. And during that time, many Jewish people were killed.
Oh God!
What? Oh my God!
No. All right.
And because the information didn't get out,
right there.
It did get to go on for a really long time.
Okay. I don't think as far as the scale and importance, it's not even close here. I think.
No, that was purely over the top craziness, and should totally follow that up with, I do not represent the opinions of my co-hosts or the rest of my podcast.
So
okay, what are we talking about?
So anyway, and I think the point here, and I have to kind of agree with Heather at this point, is that I think that the whole idea that not talking about it doesn't actually make things better. I think ultimately, just again, if he were to say anytime there is a major exploit, I don't care what it is. If there is a major exploit, let's say that, hey, guess what? We know you're doing this, and maybe even so. For instance, let's go. If we go back to conquests, when there was an issue with the conquest that actually I was on the side of, no, that's not an exploit. That is a creative use of mechanics, and so. But BioWare never really made any statement regarding it. And so we didn't know where BioWare stood on it, and so people were still doing it and still taking advantage of it and whatnot. And so let's say BioWare had come into the arena and said the thing with the conquest was, no, that is clearly an exploit. Or if they would have said there is an exploit within conquests, anybody caught doing it is going to suffer some kind of consequences from this point on. Then I would have known, oh, that's not an intended mechanic. That is not something that they're going that they want done. I'm not going to do it anymore. Now, granted, there's still going to be some people that are going to do it, but hopefully BioWare can be on top of things and remedy that situation. And that's kind of the way I feel about it. I side with Heather on this one. That, hey, you know what? If you're going to not talking about it actually makes it worse, because then I don't know if this is something I am supposed to be able to do or not. Now, to be fair though, in this case,
first of all, I was gonna say, literally every single person knows, because what it boils down to is you do. I mean, somebody asked me earlier, how could this have been worse? The only way it could have been worse was that you didn't have to do anything. All you had to do was zone into the flashpoint, and there was a box of loot sitting in front of you, and you got the gear, and you could take every single character in there to get it. That's the only way I can think of. Or maybe it just, and there was no limit, so you could zone out and zone back in and do it again, and zone out and zone back in and do it again.
Actually, a good question came up in the chat room that I think we kind of really need to define what is an exploit versus creative use of mechanics. What's an exploit here? I would say an exploit is an unintended consequence of a bug within the game, or something to the level that could be considered a bug. Anything that's not a bug, that is just happenstance because of the way the mechanics work, that's not an exploit. That's the way I define it. I don't know. Do you define it differently? Heather, Brad, either one of you? Would you agree with that?
There's also breaking the code on your, in your client in order to gain edge over the other people that are playing within a multiplayer environment.
Well,
they're using third-party programs in order to exploit the system.
Okay, or using third-party content programs to,
to give you superhuman.
They give you something to the client that augment the client in some way or another. Yes, I'll include that in there. So if it's in the way that I consider it is if it's not a bug, if it's not an issue with the game itself, like something happened that's not supposed to have ever happened, and if it's not a bug, if it's just a consequence of the way that they designed the game, then that's not an exploit. But if it's a bug or if you're using third-party programs, exploit.
There are certain fundamental things that, okay, you could actually classify it as a bug, and particularly because of the response of BioWare, historically, as well as I think the gaming community actually has a more lenient definition for what exploit is. But as for myself, there are things that I would probably technically classify as a bug, but most people would accept as an exploit because it was 100% clear that the way that everything has been designed into this game before and since means that certain items or the way that loot is distributed in the game, or is meant to be, like gear. Gear is meant to be earned. You're supposed to kill things or people, PvE or PvP, in order to earn currency via comms or tokens in order to get gear. And if there's a bug in the game that enables you to get those things without earning them, clearly you're exploiting that bug.
That is definitely a bug. But the things that I'm talking about that are possibly creative use of mechanics that I honestly don't think the developers ever intended. If you take a look
for conquests.
Yeah,
the conquest was never. I never considered conquest an exploit for the mere fact that the text on the conquest achievement clearly stated exactly how people did it. There was no violation of the very text within the game. That was a bug, and it wasn't even a bug. Honestly, it was working as intended.
Yeah, that was an unforeseen consequence.
Doing it in a way that was unintended.
Didn't expect people to do what
they've been doing for years and been talking about in the forums about doing for years.
Oh, here's a. Actually, I think a good example of something that is an unintended mechanic of the game that everybody does, and that could have been considered at one point, especially early on in the game, could have been considered an exploit, is legacy gear. What we can do with legacy gear is that we can take out mods from anything that has removable mods. Put like, for instance, high-end raid gear. We can, on one tune, do a high-end raid, get level 192s, or 190, 6 or whatever it is, and pull all of that stuff out, put it in legacy gear, and give it to an alt. That is not... I don't think they intended to ever do something like that. However, because of the mechanics, it can be done, and it's not an exploit. That's just creative use of mechanics. Although they could have, at one point, whenever legacy gear first started coming out, they could have considered that an exploit. Because as far as I'm concerned, legacy gear was always intended to be cosmetic and not a way to transfer mods.
That's exactly what they said at.
Okay, but in what way? When we first saw gear, I mean, it is fundamentally from the ground up designed for you to transfer gear, mods, enhancements, and armorings, and barrels.
I don't think that was their intent. I think their intent was to be able to purchase something on one character for cosmetic purposes and be able to transfer it to another character.
That's what the collection system is for.
Well, yeah, that ultimately turned into...
Legacy gear is meant to transfer an item from one character to another. I think that is a false statement.
No.
There are two systems in the game.
Okay, hold on. The collection
system
system came almost a year after the legacy gear came. Almost a year.
Yeah, they're different systems.
Yeah, exactly. They're different systems, and I don't think I think the legacy system.
One was designed for you to transfer an item from one place to another. The other was designed to distribute cosmetic items and to copy looks from one character to another. They're fundamentally different.
I think the legacy gear system was originally intended to work the way the collections do.
Okay, then they should have called it the legacy appearance system or appearance copy.
Well, no, I'm just saying. I don't think
it is gear. It's got gear in it. It's gear.
Yeah, I don't. Again, I think it was originally.
Who's ever picked up a legacy item thinks it was anything other than something that they. It's like instantaneously. Okay.
Well, a
gunslinger and a sniper wear the same type of clothes, and there's no class restriction on this item, this gear. And so I take it, I send it in the mail to my other character, and they can use it exactly the way that I'm using it on my other character.
Yeah, I don't think that was intended.
What they could have done is instead of having it be like it's transferable, is if you buy a piece of gear on any tune, which they already have, then it would go into your collections, and that has been working probably as intended, as probably what they wanted the legacy system to be. But I think they were saying that the people that were working on the whole legacy system, that just that was early in the game's life and development, and a lot of those people probably aren't there anymore to kind of follow up and play around with it.
They said in the chat room that it was not intended to transfer bound mods. You can transfer unbound items through legacy gear, but it was never intended to transfer bound mods. That's what I'm talking about. However, I don't think. But regardless, it's not an exploit. It was never, and if they would have, it could have possibly been called one if they come out and said it. And basically, I think that is the major factor here regarding exploits, is that it boils down to, okay, this might look like an unintended mechanic, but if BioWare comes out and says no, it's an exploit, then it becomes an exploit immediately. And things like that need to happen more often, and that's why I think that this kind of communication where they're not talking about exploits is bad, because then it leaves people in certain situations wondering, am I doing what I'm supposed to be doing? And some people will say, well, if you have to question it, then it's obviously an exploit. No,
it's like when your dog pees on the carpet and you don't punish him, like you go and exploit Nightmare Nephra and nothing happens to you, then you'll go and do it again because nothing happened to you, and then what? You're supposed to get rid of your dog when it does it the second time, even though you've never told him not to? Yeah.
That's how I feel about it in general. Now clearly there are things that are universally exploits, like third-party programs that make you run faster. Clearly, an exploit. Or if you don't kill a mob yet you get gear from it, yeah, that's an exploit. I think you can clearly say certain things are an exploit or unintended mechanics. However, there are some gray lines that absolutely need to be told, and the community team needs to. I think they just kind of need to lessen the policy of not talking about exploits. I think they need to talk about them, or at least in the sense that they need to say, hey, guess what? There is one. It's about in this area of the game. If you do something that might be an exploit in this area of the game, then you're going to get in trouble. That's my thought.
This is the problem. Basically, so the defense of those cheating with this current exploit is, previously, people cheated and got gear easily. Now, granted, previously, you still had to take the boss down, but you used an exploit of boss mechanics and an unintended physical feature in order to make it a trivial event. When they solved this and they, finally addressed it, so first, it's a lot of things that BioWare does consider exploits. It's hard to believe that they consider them exploits until such a time as the patch comes down and they say, hey, we fixed this exploit after the fact.
Yeah.
In this case, it is a little different. It's 100% obvious it's an exploit, and the community 100% knew and embraced that it was an exploit. What you had was this huge portion of the community that felt, hey, this happened before. Everybody that took advantage of it got essentially free gear out of it, got lots of gear out of it rapidly. I don't want to miss out. Clearly, BioWare isn't going to do it. I'm going to rationalize my behavior as such that I don't want to miss out on what other people are getting.
All right. Yeah, that actually
poor rationalization, but it's very, very common. And then there are those people that, of course, were much more heinous in their intent and very deliberately went out of their way to
Well, here this actually kind of leads
to
to
make the exploit
next
so
question.
much worse than it was. Because
Yeah.
this, without saying how this exploit happens, you can envision straight up this is like a virus, and there were people from one country jumping to another country on an airplane and infecting the other country, and it was spreading like wildfire.
All right, so this actually
server transfers.
this leads
well, yeah, without explaining it, or let her explain.
Musco said the next part. He said, without being specific, there is an exploit that has been present for a couple of weeks. That unfortunately has been more widespread than we typically see. It has been openly discussed in game as well as other channels. We have received quite a few questions about it, and due to the wide nature which it is being discussed, we thought it best to address it. And this is the question that you kind of already answered. You know, how widespread is it? And it's pretty much, you know, everywhere now. But
thousands of things. Every day I'm getting
exactly, and so
we have access to it.
So
you know,
I'm just curious is why did it take them so long? Why did it take them so long to talk about this?
Yeah, I think that's the issue here. I mean, we shouldn't be arguing, is this an exploit, is it wrong, is it not, because it is wrong, but we should be talking about why aren't they doing anything about it, and they're making the problem worse for themselves by not saying anything. And it was a couple weeks that people had been reporting it and tweeting to them and saying all kinds of things, and I think it just got worse by them not doing anything. People thought it was okay.
I have not. There's been some times in the past, especially regarding some things with Shadow of Revan, that I've completely disagreed with SWTOR Miner on. But he has been, oh my gosh, he has been talking about this exploit a lot and trying to get BioWare's attention. Now, whether or not he was using the proper channels all the time, I don't know. But
however, I do have something to say kind of about that. It's one thing, you know, to be screaming about it all over the place. Like, I chose not to go screaming at SWTOR to fix their exploit. I mean, what you would do is you should privately report it in-game because, you know, that's where you report bugs. And you should do it that way instead of, you know, having other people who might not be on the same moral high ground as you. You know, having them kind of hear about it and look for it also. So even though BioWare, I just said that I don't think that they should have kept it a secret. I think they should have talked about it right away. I don't think that other people should go screaming about it everywhere. And
so basically, you're saying it's BioWare needs to talk about it fast, but it is not our place as players to blab about it. Right, that it's our job to, hey, we see this thing /bug, you know, and whatnot, and then explain what's going on, and which is actually what Musco kind of says in his post. He says, "Do not test the exploit yourself. Every single occurrence can lead to action being taken against your account. Report the exploit immediately. First, use /bug an in-game ticket. Secondly, please send details to any member of the community team via private message on the forums." And then he also says, do not post on the forums in any reference to or explanation of the exploit.
I mean, it's just kind of silly, like, for you to, hey, for you to, you know, maybe on the first or second day when people discover that there's an exploit there, you just start, you know, blasting to everyone, oh my God, SWTOR needs to fix this awful exploit. And, you know, people are going to be like, well, what exploit? Because maybe they haven't heard about it yet. And then you just made the problem worse when you could have just privately reported a bug. And these people are saying, oh my God, you know, this exploit is so bad. But they themselves are making the problem worse by enabling people.
So first, before... Okay, it's so obvious that BioWare is managing all of this miserably, but it has been widely reported, and people are talking about, blogging about, and stating that Musco has said that they're going to punish people. Let's put that fire out first. Musco has trumpeted what is in our terms of service and what's always been the policy and everyone is aware of. He has said they can punish people, and they can go as far as to permanently ban people.
Yeah.
It's their product, and they've always been able to do this. At no point did he say he's going to. And this is one of the biggest problems, is that, now granted, had they addressed it at the beginning and said, hey, we know an exploit exists, we aren't going to be able to get to it immediately, we don't even know how to turn it off temporarily, however, if you go and take care of it and make it a bigger issue, we will respond. Then people would have been aware in advance, okay, I should take this seriously, they're watching, blah, 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 yada, yada, yada. And then I think BioWare is actually on good footing to respond with this. Essentially, all it is right now is a threat. And I think what we're actually going to see is that, so first, this is good first steps, right? Here's a framework of 3 little bullet points of what you do if you think you've come across an exploit. The one fundamental thing is missing, and there's a real-world analogy to this, and this is how bugs and exploits and hacks on the internet occur. There are security experts on the internet that go and stress test all sorts of aspects of how the internet works and how computers communicate with one another, and look for backdoors and how to hack into systems. There's a whole policy, industry policy, that they then, if they find something, go quietly without going to the media, without talking out loud about it. They go and notify the person or persons that are responsible for protecting themselves about this, and give them a certain amount of time. However, there's always a time frame. You let them know, but then eventually, if they don't do anything about it, in order to protect the customers and people that interact with that vulnerability from other people taking advantage of them or the system, you have a moral obligation to report on it. So we need to know when is a good time for us to bring it out and make a big stink about it, to let other people know. Because frankly, I think a lot of people have probably taken advantage of this very specific exploit because there's so many other people doing it that they don't want to get left behind. See people saying, if you haven't used this exploit, we're not taking you into our cutting edge.
See, that's the thing, though. I don't think
you're not as well geared, and we've got a better geared person who took advantage of the exploit.
I don't think that is as big a deal. I think that honestly, to be frank, I think that's a cop out. Because to be honest,
no, again, this is the rationale of the person doing it.
Oh yeah. I mean, anybody who would say,
I understand it.
I don't understand it. I honestly don't. I mean, I don't understand, and I can understand specific peer pressure. Let me put it this way: I can understand specific peer pressure, like somebody within your circle going, "Hey, I can get you this. Hey, come here, just do this. Hey, come," that kind of thing. I don't necessarily understand. I don't necessarily understand group peer pressure in this particular case, saying you're not going to be geared enough. But no, you totally will be. There's other ways to get it. You don't have to. I don't think that it's that big a deal. And we're talking incremental differences, especially when we're talking about gear at this level. It's so incremental that somebody that is better at their class can make up for it.
Are you in a progressions group that's doing the current hard mode content and actually progressing and getting the gear drops? Okay, well, the people that took advantage of this bug exploit are now about 2 months ahead of your natural progression of gathering gear.
I don't 2 months.
I would disagree. I think there's really good guilds out there that are already doing.
There are the top tier,
and I don't think that.
Does that matter though?
Some people are doing it does not mean that there are people that have never done this content that now have 2 months worth because they have to do a single operation.
But does that matter?
I don't think it matters.
I don't think it matters either.
They're not in a competition with anyone. They're not.
Exactly.
They're not trying to get ranked tier 1 gear.
Okay, I think, but what Larry is saying is, and I agree with Larry, which is why I didn't take advantage of this. I think it's poor rationale. I'm just saying that no one should be surprised that this was as widespread as it was, and that everybody jumped on the bandwagon, because most people do. And I do think there were a lot of guilds. Hell, maybe it wasn't, hey, you won't be able to come to the operation, because you didn't take advantage of it. But I bet there were a lot of small communities of 2 or 3 people, and one guy said, "Hey guys, check it out. I learned how to do something today," and then they just went and did it together, and there was nothing nefarious behind it. However, the results are tremendously bad. I'm curious though, Heather, are you saying that there's no problem with people doing the exploit?
No, there is
Or
a
do you
problem.
disagree with the logic behind it?
No, I think there is a problem with the exploit, but I don't think, I don't think people should be doing it, but it's there. We've learned in the past that not everyone, lots of people took advantage of the Nephra one. Even people that have never even stepped into hard mode operations are sitting here with 186 implants. It's like, people just do it because they want to get ahead. And
I honestly think, for the most part, I think it's a personal thing that people just feel like they want to get ahead. I don't think that there is any corporate pressure to do it, in the sense that because most raid groups that I know of, unless you're talking, and even high-end raid groups, let's be real, they work as a unit themselves, and the only people that are in actual competition with each other have already completed this stuff.
Well, that's not exactly true, actually.
I
Only
would
one
like
guild,
to say,
when people started taking advantage of this, one guild had completed that content. Only one. Okay. And then a bunch of other guilds took advantage of this excellent opportunity to get lots of gear, and then did continue to complete content. Now, you're also touching on, because there's so many different ways to play this game. There are certainly people that think that the game is literally completely boned, it's about to implode upon itself, and it's over, because from their perspective, the entire point to playing an MMO is to get gear. Well, you can now go in without having to do anything and get the best gear. You're done with the game. I mean, again, this is not how I play the game. I go in to actually do the content, explore the story. I mean, it's multifaceted. I love the PvP. There's tons and tons of reasons, but for some people, that's exactly how they play. For other people, they just want to be able to go through and see the end once, or see the story once. Well, if you can go in, have the conversations for the story leading into this, and then go out, you're done with that operation, and you have no incentive to go back because you've gotten all the rewards from it.
Well, here's another thing to talk about regarding
how people finish.
Regarding this particular case, and I wouldn't be surprised if this isn't the reason why some of the other guilds hadn't completed it. This particular case, the boss is extremely buggy. How in the world this got off of Test Center, I have no idea.
Honestly, people should be screaming about bugs and not about some little exploit. The developers should be fixing the game as far as the actual boss fights.
I think if they, honestly,
think that's more important for people. This is more important for people that are actually playing the game.
Yeah, I think that if they were, I think if they were to have fixed this bug, and this bug, if I'm not mistaken, they knew about this bug on Test Center. Why did they let this go?
I have no idea.
Why did they let this go?
I have no idea, but it doesn't matter. I mean, they shouldn't release content if they're not going to be in the offices for 2 weeks.
That's another thing. That's
the point. No one was there to address this. It isn't that BioWare was ignoring it or didn't know what to do. Nobody was working. Literally, nobody was working. And this is how it's been every single year at this time, over Christmas and New Year's. The office is literally shut down. They have a skeleton crew that makes sure that the servers stay up, and Musco has to wake up at 3 in the morning. That's the only thing over this time period that Musco responded to was the Shadowlands servers problems.
Yeah.
And as soon as they were fixed, it was like 3 in the morning for him, and he went back to bed, and we haven't heard from them. That was him calling into their data centers and just making sure that the crew hit the reset button or whatever.
The one thing that I'm curious about,
lag issues and ability action stuff hasn't been addressed. Nothing has been addressed for weeks because no one's been working. So we need to actually start from that core knowledge. Embrace that knowledge, because then everybody else should settle down. Yes, it's terrible. Yeah, the ramifications are bad. Yeah, people have, it's spread because no one's thinks that, frankly, I still don't think anything's going to happen, and maybe we should move that to the next point of discussion, is what do you actually expect BioWare to do? But yeah, I mean, don't be upset that they weren't responding or whatever. Be upset that they all went on vacation at the exact same time and they do this every single year and you disagree with that. But don't be surprised by it either, because it's been that way every year.
Yes, I think that's a problem. I mean, there's all sorts of issues that happened here. They all went on vacation. They released a buggy expansion. Okay, I say buggy expansion. I mean, really, to be honest, this was the only real big bug. Were the operations. I don't think... Have they ever released an operation that wasn't buggy? I mean, what is going on with this game that they can't release operations that aren't buggy? At any rate, so...
What do you mean this game? I guess I've never spent a serious amount of time in an MMO when an operation wasn't released without one bug. Or two.
It's always been this... with this game, it's always been... some part of an operation has made it completely impassable. And in this particular, I think they're related. I could be completely wrong, but in this particular case, the boss is completely buggy and bugs out all the time. In fact, we ran this boss on story mode the other night and could not finish it. Because every single time we went in there, it bugged out, and it would not bug. I mean, we tried everything to get this, and we tried for, 45 minutes trying to get this thing not to bug, and every single time it bugged. And I think that if this, I honestly think that if that bug didn't exist, we wouldn't have this problem, or at least. Even if the exploit existed, we would have less of an issue. It'd be less widespread, and if they just released a decent product in the first place, as far as that part is concerned. The other part is fine.
But this is an industry-wide problem that is only getting worse from month to month. I mean, this is not a BioWare question. Right. Every single company that releases something where there's multiplayer online interaction of any sort, if they've got an expansion or a launch or whatever, it's always incomplete, it's always got bugs, and people are still going to give them money, so they have zero incentive to release a completed product. And this is just a gaming industry thing, and people accept it because gamers don't care. Gamers don't judge the game or the company based off of the product they produce. They only judge it based off of how much fun they have, and if it was worth their money. And as long as the company eventually gets to addressing their own, the things that are the biggest pain points for the community in a reasonable amount of time, their stock prices aren't going to get hit. People are going to keep buying the game. There are games that I've refused to play 100% because they were bad on launch, and I'm not going back now that they fixed it because they don't need my money.
All right, so is there? Let's just. I want to close this subject out. We've talked a lot about this, and I think we've hit on a lot of the major points and the things that need to be said. I mean, when it boils down to it, I mean, there was a lot of mistakes made, and I don't want to personally, and I think personally, I don't want to condone the use of exploits, and I think we can all agree that the use of exploits is detrimental to the game overall, and I don't want to condone that at all. And if you see an exploit, absolutely report it. Do what you can within the channel. That being said, though, I do think the community team needs better communication regarding exploits, and I also think that the Q&A team, whatever that is, needs to work on releasing things that aren't buggy. So do we have any last comments on it, Heather, Red, either one of you?
Yeah, I think that there should be widespread bans. I think that there should, and I'm not saying permanent, but at least a week. Yeah. I think, honestly, universally, every single person that they can conclusively prove that did it, no matter how innocent their motives, should be banned for a week. I know that that's a very, very strong opinion. I also know that there's no way in hell they're going to do it. Frankly, I'll be surprised at all whatsoever if anybody notices a single person being punished at all whatsoever, which is only going to make the next time an exploit comes up that much more important for people to take advantage of it, because there's no reason not to.
Moving on, I think.
And again, I
go
never
ahead.
have. I never have, and I probably
Yeah.
won't, because I actually like to play a game the way the devs have designed it. That's, I guess, the most important thing I would say. Who cares about the damn gear? At the end of the day, who cares about the gear? Play the game. Earn your achievements.
I still go
Win.
back and play
By actually
I
winning.
don't care what gear drops.
Yeah. I do too. Actually, I play. I go through EV first off to see how little of a group I could possibly do it with, and then also we call them couches in our guild. It actually decoration drops. So, yeah.
I still haven't decorated my stronghold.
I did. I just finished mine. In fact, I got a post coming out. I got a post coming out tomorrow on my website on Hyperspace Beacon, which isn't back there today. Hyperspacebeacon.com tomorrow. Watch that. I've got my drum and cost thing all decked out. I'm rather proud of it. It took me 3 weeks to do.
I'm really excited about our next topic.
Yes, I wanted to get to that. We are in 2 weeks. In fact, in 2 weeks, there's not going to be a Republic because, well, I'm going to be at PAX South doing my job with Massively and doing some stuff for Gamebreaker, but also at the same time, Heather's not going to be at home either. She is going to be at PAX South. Red, are you coming to PAX South?
Yay!
Please.
I don't have a plane ticket yet, but I intend to.
Oh, all right.
Slacking.
So we've got.
I fully intend to, but until I have the plane ticket, I can't start publicizing. I'll be there. Where will you be?
So we're all going to be at PAX South, and so there's not going to. And I'm actually going to be driving down there, so it's going to take me about 13 hours to drive or so. So
Oh man.
It'll be fun. My brother used to do it all the time from Dallas. But anyway, we're going to be.
They're going to have a community cantina at PAX South on Friday, and I will be there.
On Friday night.
Yeah, on Friday.
I'm sorry, my son is interrupting the show.
I'm sad that you're gonna leave.
So I'm going to. he's upset that I'm going to leave. Anyway. It's on Friday night on December 23rd at 7 p.m. It's going to be at the Harry B. Gonzalez Convention Center. That room 007D. 007D. Nice. Unfortunately, you do have to have a PAX pass in order to get in. PAX South tickets are still available at if you go paxsite.com, then you can get tickets for that. And I don't know, what else am I missing? Oh, I forgot to mention that I am actually going to be on a panel in PAX South talking about MMOs. Check the schedule for that if you're going to be down there. Say hi to everybody. Say hi to Heather, who's going to be around at the cantina. What are we going to see there? Any guesses? I mean, we just had an expansion. What do you think?
Since I'm hoping that they're going to show us some PvP teaser, something.
That's a good idea. I like PvP. Red, what are you thinking? What are we gonna get? Because they got to give out something, right? They give us those. I mean, we're not.
No, they're gonna give out a USB key with some screenshots of Cartel Market items. I don't expect anything.
You don't expect anything? But they got
over 75% of the time. That's what you get at a.
It's true.
But this is PAX. This is PAX, though. That on my.
Yeah, it is PAX, and there's going to be a lot of people that don't already play the game that might just show up because hey, it's Star Wars: The Old Republic. It's Star Wars: The Old Republic. I think they should give away something that will draw people into the game. So if maybe people that quit because they didn't like the PvP, I really think that they should. They have 2 weeks. They have 2 weeks to do it. So.
Go ahead.
I'm not expecting anything for PvP.
Can I just wish then?
The community team has stated Well, but you asked what you expected. I mean, if we want to say "I wish," we turn that on its head, and I'm ready to give all sorts of different answers. But no, the community team has been clear that at least as for themselves, there will never be a large reveal like they had with GSF in Seattle almost a year and a half ago now.
So you believe that?
But didn't
you won't get it from the community team. Now there will always be occasional exceptions when somebody from the dev team. Any good information you've gotten in about a year has been from dev, not community teams, and we need to maintain a clear distinction within our minds that these are different people with different jobs and different knowledge. The developers have given us some very good information since they made the statement that we wouldn't be getting information like that from the community team. So if you go to any of these meetings, talk to the devs if you want real answers. Talk to the community team if you want more drink tickets.
So basically,
no, I did get more drink tickets from oh my God, what's his name? One of the producers. I got more drink tickets
Bruce
from him.
McLean?
No,
Okay.
He wasn't there. Yeah, but the previous time it was from Courtney. So you're half kind of.
So here's the thing, and this is I'm going to address the audience here a little bit, address the chat room and whatnot. Heather and I and possibly Red are going to be down there, and we have to ask developers questions. What do we need to ask them? So I'm going to throw it to you guys. What kind of things should we be asking developers and anybody that's possibly going to go? We're probably giving away too much. We should keep the good question, the one that you to yourself. But give me one of the questions that we should ask. What kind of things should we be looking for from developers?
Well, we still need to ask them what is your better than cross server thing, even though they kind of deny saying that.
Yes, yeah, that's actually a big question. That's kind of one of the things that I was hoping that would be addressed at PAX South in general. Is what does this mean? What is better than cross server? Are they? I mean, does that? Hopefully, I'm really hoping this doesn't mean mega server where we're shrunk down to 2 servers. But who knows? What do you think, Red? What should we ask?
I mean, I think that anybody and everybody that goes should be asking each person individually in multiple ways for any kind of information about what it is that they're talking about that most people assume is mega servers. And if it's mega servers, fine, even say that, but define what that means. I'm personally a bit concerned that if I log into my character and instead of being Jack, I'm now Jack at the Bastion PvP server with this giant massive name that if people got name tags turned on, I'm a beacon of
I think Barch in the chat room is asking a good question. We can ask them, what are you doing to improve on the quality that's going out for the content? Why is it more buggy?
Yeah, it's true.
With the Shadow of Revan, like why? I've been playing this game for a long time, and it never has been this buggy.
I can tell you.
And it's
good.
True too. You can tell that they were 100% honest with what they said, that they have taken a deep dive into the storytelling. They're the storytelling's great. They're improving graphical quality. They've improved even the cinematic technology that they've got, which we saw with zooms and pans within the cutscenes. And they've done a wonderful job with that, but clearly at the sacrifice of actually making the game work. So that would be nice to know. Also, I mean, frankly, everybody should go there and ask, what's coming for GSF? What's coming for PvP? What are you doing to resolve
there's
bugs?
No point in asking.
These are core things that haven't been expanded.
My poor guildies, they have nothing in development for GSF. I don't even want to ask it in here again. 2 months later, there's nothing going on for GSF. I don't want to know that they're just dumping.
Their policy is the squeaky wheel gets the grease. So you have to ask over and over and over again and listen to them say, no, nothing, we're not working on nothing, until eventually they decide, oh, maybe we should actually do something about it.
That has worked so well. This works so well for chat bubbles, let me tell you. Those chat bubbles in our game are amazing.
It's because you're alone. It's not the
No,
whole
I'm not
community.
alone. I'm not alone. There is so many people.
I don't want to see chat bubbles fill in my screen.
Yeah, I don't want to see
That's what fantasy MMOs
I don't want
to
to see another
PvP. World of Warcraft.
Go
into your little
I don't want to
cartoon
see
world.
another
Star Wars
PvP
is live action.
I don't want to see another PvP zone. So, but we get one of those anyway.
I don't necessarily want to see a PvP zone either. But I'd like to see PvP get attention. I'd like to know any kind of addressing the fact.
And actually, what I will ask most likely, and this is because this is kind of my area of concentration. Although I do obviously do rating and that sort of thing as well, but I'm certainly going to ask about the story and where things are going, because I know for certain that Charles Boyd, the lead writer, who's now the lead writer, he's going to be there. He in fact said he was going to, and we will have a beard off contest to see who has the best beard at the time. So I'm going to definitely talk to him about story and where we're headed. And one of the things that I'm really, really curious about is, because they mentioned having more story or more content coming out within this next year. Does that mean that we're going to now see a tighter cadence? Are we going to see more things come out more often as far as the story is concerned? Are we actually going to see more story progression besides just the expansions? That is kind of what we've seen in the past. Is the only way we've progressed the story really is expansions, with the I guess the exception would be Oricon. Oricon did move things forward without an expansion.
I'm going to tell them about the 4-man objective-based ranked. Because if they couldn't pull off the 8-man rank, then they're already down to 4. Surely they can come up with something else besides arenas, like another type of ranked that I think people would like. But whatever. It's just me. No one listens to me.
Well, hopefully they will this time around.
Listen.
Actually, no. They did put in that one thing. They put in that one thing where I asked for like the gold ability thing to be turned off and on, and like I don't even turn it off. It's in the game.
You might actually have something with the PvP changes for ranked, because frankly the solution to an inability to launch the first season of 8v8 ranked was to delete it from the game and replace it with a new game format that no one was asking for. Yeah. So they could easily, since you're asking for it, delete the existing ranked PvP and replace it with something that maybe people might be more interested in, because the vast community was actually much more intrigued by
I don't think they should totally
a very good strategy-based, objective-based PvP format.
If that would be like getting rid of the 8-man ranked again, like we're just getting rid of something that
exactly, they're more likely to do it.
Well, okay. I don't think they should this time. If they learned anything, I think that they should keep it the same, but add something new, add variety to it instead of always expecting.
Which they won't do. Which they won't do at all whatsoever. They can't support a single version of ranked PvP. There's no way in hell they're going to increase the number.
I think they should add variety. Maybe not always arenas. They should, I don't know, capture the flag, 4-man teams, something.
They need to do something with PvP. I'm really interested to see what they're going to do in general. What do they plan to do? Because the PvP community is really dropping off drastically, and which is why
I think at PAX South, where they had access to all these people, these gamers that are playing games, I think to bring people back in, they should show something or talk about PvP.
I agree. All right, to round things up, that's going to be on January 23rd. I'll be down there. If you're going to be in the San Antonio area, get a ticket to PAX South and say hi. I mean, honestly, unfortunately, you can't just walk into this one. You do need a ticket to PAX South. It'll be from 7 p.m. to 10 p.m. And honestly, get there early, because these things do tend to fill up, especially if they are at a convention. So Yeah, I think that's it as far as PAX South is concerned. I do want to do one thing before we close out the show here. I don't want to go on too much longer, but I do want to ask about your guys's each. Heather is on. She does Pretty Little Sith blog. She's also on Curling Run Radio. I'd like to know what Heather. First off, what's the plans for Curling Run? What are your personal plans for 2015 as far as tour is concerned? Do you have any?
Oh, I do have some fun things going on that I thought of for Curly and Run Radio. We're gonna start doing a streamer spotlight. Hopefully he will be free on the date that I suggested. But we're gonna start having streamers on the show, just talking about themselves and their guilds, and because we haven't really seen a lot of streamer spotlight on directly from SWTOR and
Very
from the
true.
community team. They recently have had Towley on there, which is great, but I think they should have been doing more.
Yeah,
more
and
than that.
it honestly would have been nice. Now, I like Towley. I think he's good. He's a friend of Game Breaker.
He's good.
Yeah, he's a good guy. I would honestly like to see somebody that focuses on Tor as well. I mean, like Red or Duxon or somebody like that focuses on Tor that streams.
It would be nice for SWTOR to spotlight these people that are really enthusiastic about the game. So we're gonna do it.
Absolutely, good job. What about you, Red? What is UtiniCast doing? What are you doing personally for 2015 as far as tour is concerned? Anything special? Any major plans? Expanding? Are you expanding your Twitch TV base? Are you branching out? Going to stream more often? Because you don't stream enough as it is. Really, man. You need to stream some more.
Right?
No, I know he does. Be facetious.
Yeah, okay. Pot of Gold at the end of the rainbow fantasy dream that... Oh my goodness, 1 second. Pot of Gold fantasy dream at the end of the rainbow that I would love to see is that I have thousands of viewers simultaneously on my Twitch stream. I can quit my job. I can move to Google Fiber World, and that's what I would really like. Realistically, I would very much like, and have actually set as a goal that I really do hope, is that whenever I'm streaming, I'm one of the top 3 streamers for SWTOR every time. Even when someone like Towley shows up. And of course his numbers are going to be way through the roof. But I want there to be, and I'm trying to help other people to get into streaming. I'm not trying to be the guy, but I'm enjoying the fact that my chat room's expanding tremendously. We all have a great time talking to one another. It's a great community there. I'd like to build that. So definitely that's a huge focus for me. As to my focuses in game, before the end of the year, I want to have full cleared all of the existing content and at least be working on whatever the current tier of operations is in a very dedicated progression group. I want to have hit 1600 on 2 tunes before the end of the year. 2 separate tunes, different classes, not mirrored, so not like a Merc healer and a Commando healer. I actually want to do that. I also actually want to have at least 3 different characters fully geared out in PvP max level gear, not the I've been unburied because I'm a corpse in the ground gear. I can't even remember what it's called. Exhumed gear, I think it's called. And I want to play all 3 healing classes. So my biggest thing for 3.0 is the fact that I haven't been healing the entire game. I did that in other MMOs. I want to play all 3 healing classes to such an extent that I feel like I know them very, very well. And whenever changes come and character balance changes or whatever, I will be able to read the patch notes and know exactly what kind of ramifications that's going to have on each of my healing characters.
Excellent. If you want to see more of Red's stream, you can catch him online on twitch.tv/R3DN4, and of course follow him on Twitter at the same @R3DN4, and then every week he is on the UtiniCast, utinicast.com. That's O UtiniCast. And then Heather is on, like I said, on Krillian Run Radio. You can go to KrillianRun.com to catch more of her, or go to PrettyLittleSith.com to read her blog, and she's also on Twitter at Heather_PLS. And let's see my stuff. You can go to massively and catch Hyperspace Beacon. I've got one coming out next week on Tuesday, massively.com. Look up the Hyperspace Beacon there, or you can go to hyperspacebeacon.com. That is my personal blog, and then follow me on Twitter at Shadow, SHADDOE. Also follow Gamebreaker on Twitter, which is Gamebreaker TV. And what am I missing? Oh, I'm every single day I'm writing on Gamebreaker at gamebreaker.tv. Obviously, you're watching this here, so you know that already. All right, thanks a lot for tuning in, and we will be here next week. And then the next week after that, we'll be at PAX South, so we will be skipping that week. But be here next, what's today? Thursday at 6:30 PST, and I will see you then. Bye-bye.